The gloves are off, and Samantha Markle is making sure the world knows it. In a moment of raw, unfiltered fury, she unleashed an attack so explosive that it threatens to tear apart everything Meghan Markle has so carefully built. Her words weren't measured, they weren't softened. They were sharp, brutal, and aimed directly at her half-sister's reputation. According to Samantha, Meghan's 79-year-old father, Thomas Markle, is in the middle of a nightmare, trapped on the 19th floor of a high-rise building in the Philippines that has just been devastated by a powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake. The elevators are destroyed. The building is unstable, and aftershocks are rattling the structure. Thomas, who is already frail, cannot walk. He has no way of getting down. And while all of this is unfolding in terrifying real time, Meghan, the woman who calls herself a humanitarian, is nowhere to be found. Samantha didn't just stop at describing her father's terrifying situation. She went for Meghan directly, insisting that her younger sister is not only ignoring Thomas in his darkest hour, but that she is personally responsible for him being in this desperate position to begin with. Not indirectly, directly. Her claim is shocking. Years of alleged cruelty, calculated media manipulation, and cold-hearted abandonment pushed Thomas into hiding overseas, which eventually led him to settle in the Philippines. And now, trapped and terrified in a disaster zone, his life hangs in the balance. The timing could not be more twisted. Just days from now, Meghan and Prince Harry are scheduled to walk across a glittering New York stage to accept a prestigious humanitarian award. But as Meghan preps her designer gown and rehearses her acceptance speech, her father is clinging to life in a crumbling building halfway across the world. Samantha didn't mince words. She called her half-sister a humanitarian fraud. She took to social media, unleashing a barrage of posts and interviews that were impossible to ignore. She labeled Meghan disgusting and evil, demanding to know why her sister, who has access to immense wealth and influence, has done nothing, absolutely nothing to rescue the man who gave her life. Samantha fired question after question. Where's the helicopter? Where's the emergency aid? Where are the diplomatic phone calls that Meghan could easily make with her connections? Where is even a single simple call to check if Thomas is still alive? In Samantha's telling, if Meghan had treated Thomas with even a shred of decency, he wouldn't be in the Philippines in the first place. He wouldn't be hiding overseas. He wouldn't be facing death in an earthquake-stricken building. According to Samantha, this disaster is the byproduct of years of deliberate cruelty. The accusations didn't stop there. Samantha pointed the finger at Meghan for more than just physical abandonment. She claimed that Meghan destroyed Thomas's health through heartbreak and stress. 2 heart attacks, a stroke, declining mobility. Samantha laid it all at Meghan's feet, insisting that her half-sister never once checked in, never once reached out, never once lifted a finger to offer help. And now, even in his most desperate hour, Meghan's silence is deafening. During a live interview, Samantha painted the picture in gut-wrenching detail. She described how their father is stuck on the 19th floor with only a visiting friend to help him, completely isolated from emergency crews or rescue teams. The elevators are out, leaving Thomas essentially stranded, immobile, waiting for the building to collapse with the next aftershock. Samantha even spoke about desperate measures, dragging Thomas down 19 flights of stairs on cushions or a shower curtain if the building starts to crumble. The thought alone is terrifying, but she insisted that they may have no other choice. And here's the kicker. The buildings in that part of the Philippines aren't built with earthquake resistance in mind. Unlike Los Angeles high-rises that sit on shock-absorbing foundations, these structures are old, unstable, and not equipped to handle tremors of this scale. Samantha emphasized that the fear is not exaggerated, it's real, it's immediate, and it's life-threatening. But what turned her anger into fury was the connection she drew back to Meghan. She argued that Thomas wouldn't even be there if Meghan hadn't allegedly orchestrated years of negative press and public humiliation against him. According to Samantha, Meghan's powerful PR machine turned her own father into a villain, feeding fake stories to the media that painted him as unreliable, untrustworthy, and burdensome. This relentless smear campaign, Samantha claims, forced Thomas into reclusion. The constant humiliation, the cruel headlines, the betrayals, it broke him. He stopped going out, he stopped living a normal life, and eventually the stress became unbearable. His health began to collapse under the pressure. A heart attack, another heart attack, then a stroke. Each medical emergency chipped away at his strength. Each public humiliation eroded his dignity. And through it all, silence. Samantha insists Meghan never reached out, never once asked if he was okay, never once showed up at his hospital bedside. It gets darker. Samantha revealed that Thomas eventually felt like he had no choice but to disappear. He left Mexico, where he had been living. He couldn't stay in the United States. The media circus followed him everywhere. According to her, Meghan's disregard drove him out completely, and the Philippines became his refuge. He wasn't moving towards peace, he was running away from pain. But now that decision, born out of heartbreak, is what has left him fighting for survival in a disaster zone. Samantha's accusations escalated from painful to downright chilling. She insisted that Meghan didn't just allow the media to destroy Thomas, she deliberately encouraged it, all in an effort to erase him from her shiny new royal narrative. Meghan allegedly wanted to cut ties completely, to act as though her father no longer existed, and she achieved that by letting the press drag his name through the mud. Samantha called it a betrayal of the worst kind. She reminded the world that Thomas was not some absent father. He was there for Meghan through her childhood, her education, and her early career. He worked as an Emmy-winning lighting director, providing her with a comfortable life and endless opportunities. And after decades of sacrifice, Samantha said, this is how Meghan repaid him, by erasing him, abandoning him, and allegedly leaving him to suffer alone. Her words weren't just filled with anger, they dripped with heartbreak. Samantha's pain was raw, her outrage real. She kept circling back to the same brutal point. Her father would not be in this nightmare if it weren't for Meghan's choices. He wouldn't be trapped, he wouldn't be terrified, he wouldn't be teetering on the edge of death. And while all of this unfolds, Meghan is reportedly preparing to step onto a stage in New York to accept an award that celebrates her compassion and humanitarian work. The hypocrisy is staggering. Samantha pointed out the grotesque irony. Meghan's father is clinging to life in a crumbling building, while Meghan is allegedly rehearsing a speech about kindness and empathy. Royal commentators quickly piled on. Christine Hamilton, during the same broadcast, said what many were already thinking, that Meghan has the resources to save her father if she truly wanted to. She has money, power, influence, and connections that could open doors. A single phone call could get embassies involved. A helicopter rescue could be arranged. For someone in Meghan's position, it wouldn't be impossible. But according to Samantha, Meghan has not lifted a finger. No calls, no public acknowledgement, no aid sent, nothing. Samantha called it a tragic comedy, the image of Meghan allegedly paying for humanitarian awards to burnish her public brand, while her father hangs on for dear life thousands of miles away. And that's when Samantha drove her final point home. This isn't just about one earthquake, one disaster, or one bad decision. It's about a long pattern of cruelty, abandonment, and hypocrisy that she believes has defined Meghan's treatment of their father. And now, with Thomas trapped in a disaster zone, and Meghan silent, that pattern is clearer and uglier than ever. Meghan has allegedly proven time and time again that when it comes down to a choice between her carefully polished public image and the very people who sacrifice for her, she will always choose herself. And Thomas Markle, her own father, is the most glaring, painful example of this. This man worked grueling 70-hour weeks. He won 3 Emmy Awards for his dedication and skill as a lighting director. He poured his blood, sweat, and tears into giving Meghan a better life, into making sure she had every opportunity she could possibly dream of. And how did Meghan allegedly repay him? By discarding him the moment he no longer fit into her shiny new royal storyline. And now, as he faces one of the most terrifying, precarious moments of his entire life, trapped on the 19th floor of an unstable high-rise in the Philippines, surrounded by aftershocks and uncertainty, what does Meghan do? Reportedly nothing. No statement, no action, not even the smallest acknowledgement. It's business as usual, as though her father's suffering doesn't exist at all. Samantha Markle, however, refused to let that silence stand. She didn't hold back, she didn't mince words. She looked straight into the camera and declared, "You do not deserve any award if you cannot even care about your own father." And she went further, accusing Meghan of allegedly paying for her own awards, buying recognition to prop up her image while the man who gave her everything is left to fend for himself in a crumbling building. In Samantha's eyes, that isn't just hypocrisy, it's a grotesque farce. But the accusations didn't end there, because while Meghan's alleged indifference is one scandal, Samantha raised an even darker question. Does Meghan actually have a heart at all? This wasn't a casual jab. This wasn't a throwaway line. Samantha accused her sister of being fundamentally incapable of compassion. She flat out said she doubts Meghan even has a conscience. She compared her to Scrooge in A Christmas Carol, but made it clear she doesn't believe Meghan will ever find redemption, ever discover empathy, ever grow a heart. Harsh words, yes. But Samantha didn't just leave it at that. She backed it up with what she claims is a pattern of heartless behavior. She pointed to Meghan and Harry allegedly mocking Queen Elizabeth in her final years while she was secretly battling bone cancer. She mentioned the disregard shown toward Prince Philip in his declining health, and she asked a brutal, haunting question. If Meghan could allegedly dismiss the suffering of the late Queen and Prince Philip, two figures who were central not only to the monarchy but to her own life, why would anyone be surprised that she now ignores her own father in his desperate hour? According to Samantha, the evidence is everywhere. Meghan doesn't care about people. Meghan cares about herself. Royal commentator Christine Hamilton took the criticism even further during the same interview. She described Meghan as a monster of narcissism if she continues to ignore the unfolding nightmare her father is enduring. Hamilton argued that even if Meghan truly felt no emotional connection to Thomas anymore, even if she had completely written him off as family, any half-decent PR strategist would be begging her to act. Because from a purely strategic perspective, the optics are catastrophic. How can you possibly accept a humanitarian award in New York while your father is fighting for survival in a collapsing building on the other side of the world? But Hamilton insisted that Meghan doesn't see it that way. Or worse, she doesn't care at all. In her words, if Meghan allows this crisis to pass without action, without even the smallest gesture of support, it proves beyond a doubt that she does not have a single human bone in her body. And Hamilton made sure to stress it's not about forgiveness, it's not about reconciliation, It's not about magically repairing years of estrangement. It's about basic human decency. Your father is trapped in a disaster zone,